All right, terror, everyone, on social media. Extremist groups, they have been using propaganda to spread their message across internet sites like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And these social media sites, they're not doing anything about it. They say they don't have to. So terrorists are coming together. They're planning attacks. They're encouraging each other on these social media platforms. And Twitter and Facebook say, not our problem. It's free speech. Well, a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee says not so fast here. In fact, a new bill would require these companies to report this activity. Nuala O'Connor, the president and CEO of the Center for Democracy and Technology, joins me now with her reaction to this new legislation. And Nuala, I know you're against this bill. You say social media companies, they don't need to speak out. They don't need to report this activity. Why not?
So, actually, this is Nuala O'Connor from the Center for Democracy and Technology, and we actually are very concerned about your ability to speak freely, whatever your religious background is, your viewpoints. It's not correct to say, though, that the companies aren't taking action already. The laws that exist already on the books, the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, allows for companies to report activity that engages in a threat of imminent harm or terrorist activity that is going to harm someone. And that law is already on the books.
And well, they're not doing a whole lot of it. They're just not doing a whole lot of it. In the cases of child pornography, they must act. But right now, there's nothing that's legally binding them to say, you know what, we're starting to see this activity over here, or someone's tweeting about ISIS. There is no legal reason for them to have to go forward and report that. And members of the Senate Intelligence Committee want that to change.
Well, that's not my understanding. In fact, that's, I think, not entirely true of what's happening with the big brand names online in the United States and elsewhere are taking responsibility and are acting accordingly.
Really?
And trying
because
to
the last time I checked, Mark Zuckerberg is saying, no, he doesn't have to turn over this information. I mean, this has been a whole big issue between the NSA and these internet companies. The internet companies are saying, no, we don't want to turn over this information. We want to be able to protect privacy.
Well, I want the information turned over when there is a threat of harm, when there is a legal predicate, when there is an actual act or presumed act that's about to happen. I don't want bulk data collection. I don't want I don't want all information coming from me. Well, I think that it is when there's an ongoing investigation, when there's a suspicion that you are an actor or about to engage in a bad act. I mean, law enforcement has lots of tools on the books, and the bulk data collection of all of your tweets, of all of your Facebook profiles, of all of your email, everything you do online. As we engage in the digital world, as we have digital selves, we would not support the bill in the form that it is right now because it's completely vague. It says everything you do online, your emails, your most private conversations, your most private thoughts. I wake up in the morning, I email my kids or my kids' school teacher.
If you are a person of interest, shouldn't that information be available?
That's not the standard in the bill. The standard in the bill is everybody. All of your complete communications history online is going to end up in the hands of the federal government.
You know, this sounds to me a little bit like the Rand Paul argument, you know, against going after all the information that the NSA could possibly track. You know, the reason the NSA wanted to look at those phone records was not because they cared necessarily about who you and I are calling every morning, but they wanted to see if they could spot patterns of activity that might lead them to suddenly realize this particular person might be a threat. I mean, one of the problems with this guy, if in fact he is related to ISIS, is that nobody really had any indication that the Chattanooga shooter was someone worth watching. So if it turns out that he was a member of ISIS or connected to this group, don't you feel a little bad, Nuala, that maybe that information could have been out there and accessible and usable, but we're not providing it?
So, as a former official of the Department of Homeland Security, I absolutely believe in understanding who the threat is and in keeping my children safe and our country safe. I absolutely believe. And I think the tragedy of the last few days shows that we need to understand what the threat is and be vigilant in protecting our armed forces, the men and women that serve this country. But I still do not believe that what is necessary is the personal information of you, of me, of our parents and grandparents.
I think the problem is we are in a whole brave new world. It is a new kind of warfare.
And the technology tools can help save this privacy debate by providing de-identified information, by providing protocols, by providing protections while still keeping the country safe. That is possible, and good companies are trying to engage in that as well.
I think bottom line, We all want to be safe. Thank you so much,
That's
Nuala,
right. Thank
for
you.
joining us today. Speaking of